What's up, guys? I'm back again. So, like I said at the end of my previous video, I was just kind of surfing down YouTube and seeing if there's any more content that I could cover up on before I called it a night tonight. And so I came across a short that was put out by John Jones. And it's basically John Jones, a begging attempt at trying to get on the UFC White House card. I mean, it starts out, it's like super patriotic, and he's talking about that, you know, this summer, July 4th, is going to be 250th birthday of the United States of America, and that, you know, it's full of warriors, and that we want it through conflict, and, you know, that we're all about freedom here in the U.S., which is all true. But then he starts, like, slipping in little nuances about him wanting to fight on the front lawn of someone's house, and it shows like a silhouette of Donald Trump at the podium, and then like glimpses of Alex Perreira. And I'm just like, I'm so torn with John Jones. Like I am, like, because John Jones to me, and as much, and to anybody that I knew who fought and trains, John Jones is the consensus greatest of all time. He is the GOAT. Like, that guy just finds ways to win. I mean, whether it's just off natural talent or when he really gets up for fights, like when he fought DC, when he fought Gustafsson for the second time, when he fought Shogun to win the title the first time, to become the youngest UFC champion in history. I mean, when he gets up for fights, he's the best in the world. I've never seen anyone better than him when he gets up for fights. And then he has fights where speculations and people say that he didn't train. You know, for the first Gustafsson fight, they said they probably saw him in the gym, you know, 2 weeks before the fight. The Ovid St. Preux fight, they barely saw him getting ready for that fight, and he still finds ways to win those fights. I mean, he's probably one of the most naturally gifted fighters I've ever seen in the world, ever in my life. But then when he actually trains for the second DC fight, or for the DC fights, you know, the Gustafsson 2 fight, you know, when he gets up for those big fights, there's no one better in the world than him. And I love Tom Aspinall. And I think that's why I never understood why John walked away from $30 million. And he even admitted that he did agree. And then afterwards, he was like, no, I'm out, and walked away from that money. And I just don't understand why, because if they were to make that fight when they were supposed to make it, and even if they made it now, Tom Aspinall versus John Jones, I would still pick John Jones to win that fight. And I love Tom Aspinall. I'm a big Tom Aspinall fan. I just think John has seen everything. I mean, he's fought over 2 generations of fighters already. You know, when he won the title, he beat Shogun Rua. And then he just beat Cyril Gane, what, two years ago for the heavyweight title. He beat an old Stipe. I never thought that fight should have happened. I think they gave that to John. The UFC gave that to John because he wanted to cement himself to beat the best UFC heavyweight, you know, on paper, was Stipe, because he had 3 or 4 title defenses at heavyweight. To me, the greatest UFC heavyweight ever is Cain Velasquez. And people are going to say whatever they want. You're just because he's Mexican, you're Mexican. Prime Cain Velasquez was unbeatable. That guy was just, he had it all. He had it all, and he just ran himself into the ground, you know, just overtraining, fighting hurt, training hurt, and eventually caught up with him. But yeah, John Jones, I just don't understand, man. I think the way he goes about his things, though, from what I've heard and all the podcasts and all the media I've ever seen about him or read about him, is that he's very meticulous when he takes a fight. He watches endless amounts of video on his opponents. So that's why he looks so good when he's in there, because he's never unprepared for anything. I think even when the fights that he didn't train for, or trained minimally for, he still knew what he had to do to win. And I just think the thought of not having all the tape and video on Tom really, really put him uneasy, made him feel uneasy, because we all know Tom. He's only been out of the first round one time, and that was against Arlovsky, and then he ended up beating Arlovsky by submission. So I just think that him feeling uneasy about not knowing what he was going into is why he walked away from that money and that opportunity. Because I think if he would have had a couple more fights to watch on Tom that went past, a minute or 2 minutes, or maybe even to a third round. Tom's never been to a third round, ever. Hell, he was barely in the second round against Arlovsky. But I just think that Jon Jones needs that data to put his mind at ease, to know that he can win a fight. Even though I thought he would still beat Tom now. And I love Tom Aspinall. I've already said it. But I think it'd be a good fight. We hear so much about Tom Aspinall's grappling and his ability on the ground, and he has a few submissions under his belt. I know he tapped Volkov via straight arm lock. He choked Arlovsky, but they were super quick. So I don't know if he wasn't feeling confident going to the ground with Tom. He probably didn't feel that confident standing up with Tom, because Tom has that one knockout shot. He can hurt you with both hands. So I'm not sure why he walked away. Only Jon knows the answer to that. But now, after this video that he put out, he wants Alex Perreira at the White House, and then Alex Perreira doubles down and says that he spoke with the UFC. He wants to vacate the belt. He wants to go up to heavyweight. He wants to fight Jon Jones at the White House. But then with everything that we've heard from Dana White, saying that he can't trust Jon Jones to show up. He's unreliable. I'm pretty sure all of us that love the sport of MMA and the UFC specifically, we pretty much have a good read on what Dana White is all about. And we've seen it right now. We're seeing it firsthand in real time with the Arman Tsarukyan situation. Arman Tsarukyan just submitted Dan Hooker in the second round in Qatar. He was still ranked number 1 in the world behind the champ Ilia Topuria at 155. Even with the finish over Dan Hooker, Dana White said he's not getting the next shot. I don't care what your number is, what your rank number is beside your name. He needs to keep working and get back to that shot. He had his shot. He fucked it up. They say it was because he had a bad back. But from everything that I've heard, it was that he knew he wasn't going to make weight. So he didn't want to go on with the fight. Because one, if he loses, then he loses. And even if he would have won, since he missed the weight, he wouldn't have won the title anyways. So we know how Dana feels about people pulling out of fights that close, short notice. But Jon is the exception, because that happened before. They were supposed to fight in Vegas. Jon could not get cleared by the commission, and they moved the fight I believe it was 3 or 4 days out from Vegas to Anaheim so that he could get cleared in California to fight. I believe that was the DC fight, the first DC fight, or maybe it had been the second one. I can't remember. I think it was the second one. But so Jon has got preferential treatment before by the UFC, but I think this was the last straw. He had confirmed that he was going to take the fight against Tom Aspinall. He wanted a crazy amount of money. He confirmed that it was $30 million to fight Jon Jones, to fight Tom Aspinall, and then he walked away from it and just dragged this whole thing out for over a year. Tom Aspinall is the interim champion, I believe he had 1 or 2 defenses as an interim champ, which shouldn't even be a thing unless you're in boxing and you fucking defend an interim title multiple times, because they have fucking 15 fucking belts in every weight class. But this ain't boxing. This is MMA. This is the UFC. And so he drags Tom out for the whole year, whatever. He confirms to Dana that he's going to take the fight, and then drags it out and then walks away from it. So yeah, Dana White is fucking pissed. And if he's doing this to Arman, he probably wants to do it to John and not give him the satisfaction of fighting on the White House. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't let John fight on the White House, but then puts him on the November card at MSG. You know, I wouldn't be surprised at all. But with the company going to Paramount Plus and all the billions of dollars that they paid for the UFC, I can see, is it TKO putting pressure on Dana White that, hey, we need the best superstars in the world to fill this card. So he might get strongholded by the boardroom to put John Jones on the White House card against Alex Pereira. I don't know if it'll happen. I wouldn't be mad if it happened. I'm sure Tom Aspinall might feel some type of way unless they put Aspinall and Gane as the main event, you know. But who knows? I don't think they'll put a non-title fight in a co-main event, especially after the president came out and said that they're expecting 8 to 9 title fights on the White House card. I don't think that's going to happen. But, I mean, hell, it could. I don't know. I mean, shit, it might. But if they do Pereira, John Jones, depending on how Tom Aspinall and his situation with his eye is, if his eye doesn't get better by February or March, maybe April, depending, because we don't know the extent of the injury to the eye. I know he said he was going to get shots in his eyeball, and he really still can't see out of his right eye. We just don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC put up an interim heavyweight title for John Jones and Alex Pereira. I really would not be surprised at all. And because I don't think that John has any interest of going back down to 205. If it's for the White House card, I could see him doing it. But for a heavyweight fight, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they put an interim title on the line. And then I'm sure Dana would be like, we have to have insurances. Like, we have to have insurances. They'd probably make him sign a contract that if you beat Pereira for the interim title, you have to fight the winner of Tom Gane without exception. Like, you have to. I could see that happening. But the whole thing with John, man, it's just fucking crazy because I've never seen an athlete who's so dominant and then just walk away from a challenge that most people thought that he could get through. Like, I could never see who's a GOAT. Michael Jordan, you know, in his prime, say if he would have stayed around, won a 7th title, you know, in 97, and then be like, well, fuck, man, the new Lakers got this guy, and, you know, we're going to extend you for another year, but we want to win this. We want to run the table again and see the Bulls and the Lakers in the next finals. I could never see Jordan being like, nah, I'm good, you know, and walk away. He loves the competition. That guy is a driven motherfucker. He wants to kill everyone on the court. So knowing that that's Jordan's mindset, or like a Tom Brady mindset, to see John Jones, who you consider as one of those GOATs, to walk away from a guy who's a younger guy, and Tom Aspinall, who, yes, is fucking great, and I love him. I love watching him fight. But I would still pick John Jones to win that fight. And for him to walk away from all that money just because maybe you don't have enough footage or whatever the case is, I don't know. You'd have to ask John Jones why he walked away from it. All he's ever said was he fucked up, he made a mistake. And ever since then, since the eye poke happened for the Cyril Gane fight, it's been nothing but him just shitting on Tom Aspinall and critiquing him and talking down on him that he thinks that he could beat Tom in the wrestling and this and that. But I'm like, if you knew you could do this, if you're saying that you could do this, why didn't you just fight him? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And it drives me crazy because I love John Jones. I think he is the greatest fucking fighter to ever step into an octagon ever. You know, he's one of those guys where you could probably be like, give that guy a shield and a short sword and put him in the Coliseum, and he walks out every fucking time. He's just that guy. So it's always just blown my mind why he walked away from that fight. But yeah, I saw that short video and I had to comment on it. So you guys let me know what you think, man. I really want to get you guys' opinion and your take on it, on why you think he walked away, or if you even think that Dana's going to let him fight on the White House, or whatever it is that you guys have on your mind. Let me know in the comments. Thanks again, guys, for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, share with everyone that you know that loves combat sports, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.